कृपया ध्यान दें, पॉडकास्ट नंबर 63001007250 हैदराबाद से दुनिया को जाने वाली थाईगैप पॉडकास्ट का नया एपिसोड प्लेटफॉर्म नंबर स्पॉटिफाई, आईट्यून्स, एप्पल पॉडकास्ट, गूगल पॉडकास्ट पे रवाना होने के लिए तैयार है। धन्यवाद।
Are you bored? Are your drives lonely? Are your superficial social media friends of no use? Are you still wearing your old jeans? Well, do not worry, because it is Thursday, and Thursday stands for thanking God for the Thursdays. And also, the ThyGap's new podcast episode! How does that change your Thursday? Well, you have someone to listen to. But that won't change the scope of you not to talk to anybody, and you're still lonely, and it doesn't matter. You're still depressed and kind of very aloof and all that, and you're an outcast. But hence, ThyGap podcast, because you need it. We know it. So here, hosting the ThyGap podcast episode 4, I am being Brut, and with me is my absolutely disgraceful host,
Bogus Noob.
Hey, Bogus, what's up? What's happening, man?
What's happening, dude? It's all good, It's 3 episodes out. We're on a journey.
A short one, but it's a journey nevertheless. Yes, I agree.
All good things come to an end.
Quick feedback. How was my intro? Because this is the first time I'm doing the intro, right?
Yeah, I think we'll hear about it eventually.
Someday.
We will hear about it. Let's see. How's it going with you, Brute?
Well, it's all good. Nothing much changed. Still being inside our houses, not depending on, external socialization.
Yeah, that's what I was reminded of when you said you opened with boring drives, right?
Yeah.
We're not having too many drives itself.
I know. And driving is so important, right?
So important.
Especially, I don't know, for guys who are...
It's therapeutic for me, at least.
Not if you're in traffic, but...
I mean... If you have your windows up and you can scream as loud as you want, show all the road rage you have, then it is very therapeutic.
That is, if you build the ideal scenario that you mean.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And, it's in your hands.
Yeah, I can speak my heart inside the
to
bubble.
Nobody.
Inside the bubble, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very therapeutic,
If only cars are psychiatrists and they can, respond to all your inner thoughts. I think there are two places which can be very therapeutic. For me, like how cars are for you, bathrooms are like that for me. Whenever I go to the toilet, trust me, the conversation that I have with myself is ridiculously high level,
And we're all so much more musically inspired while we're in the bathroom, There's something about that place which just...
The flush getting turned on.
Opens up your lungs.
Absolutely, yeah, man. Oh, the bathroom too.
Opens up your lungs and quite a few other places as well.
Oh,
it is a
first
place.
Drop of the turd. Oh.
It is a place for, freedom. The feeling of freedom.
Freedom, dude.
The wind going inside you from whichever angle possible and then going back out. Sometimes, if it's going out your mouth, you could make it musical and be a singer.
And also, going to the bathroom is like one step from hunger. When you come out, your stomach is empty and you're so hungry.
Right.
And you so miss the place already that you want to fill that stomach again so you can go back to bathroom.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh.
The whole day we are just coping with the need to finally go into that room.
Yeah. So anyways, Bogus.
Quite a stimulating thought,
I know.
To ponder over. And the process of being mentally stimulated, you know what that's called? They say that's called inspiration.
Yeah. Heard that word before.
Yeah. So the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, feels. Especially to do something creative. That's what they say inspiration is. But that's not the funny thing. You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
This is why I look into the etymology of words. Okay, so
you're going to tell the meaning of the word.
not the meaning of the word. It's basically like its blueprint or its history or its DNA, like how it came about.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes from a late Latin word called inspirare. Okay,
Inspirare.
inspirare.
Sounds like a Hyundai car.
Latin.
Yeah, I
It's,
know, but
yeah.
doesn't it sound like a Hyundai car, like a Korean car trying to sell itself in the English market?
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of name. It's the kind of a name that only Hyundai can come up with, I think.
I know.
And have dancers in the background. Thank you very much, India. Yeah, okay, so
Thank you, Shah Rukh Khan.
a lot of people to thank for that. Inspirare, and so the colloquial meaning is what I said earlier. Okay, process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. The medical meaning of inspiration is the act of breathing in,
Or infusing.
inhalation.
Yeah, inhalation. Yeah.
So for doctors, inhalation itself is inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
What a charmed life.
I know.
But
The body is breathing, guys.
yeah,
Take him to the operation theater.
you're
right now.
inspired every second.
But can I just interject?
Yeah,
When you're talking about the medical way of describing inspiration,
yeah,
I think the effect of inspiration is lost the moment the bill comes out. I mean, the breathing might stop.
Yeah.
Like, the drugs will not work
and
anymore.
inspiration itself is breathing.
It's breathing. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a counterproductive model. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to the etymology. So far, what do we have? We have mental stimulation
Mm-hmm.
to do something creative. So there is creativity linked in the colloquial meaning.
Right.
Okay. In medical terms, it is pure inhalation. You're just breathing it in,
Yeah.
and that's inspiration. In the Middle English period, inspiration, or the root word of inspiration, inspirare, and all of that, what it actually means is divine guidance.
Okay. So basically, you're talking about enlightenment and stuff like that.
No.
Or-
It is how when people say the idea just dropped into my head, right? Like as if they didn't really build it. They were just sitting and working on it, suddenly from nowhere.
It just takes this completely different turn.
Yeah, you just get the whole picture.
Like Ramanujan always claimed that. Do you know this? So basically, Ramanujan was this mathematical genius, right?
Yeah.
We all know him because we're South Indians, so we know him better.
Okay.
Apologies. But Ramanujan always claimed that the Ganesha god, the god Ganesha,
Right.
has actually put in all these mathematical equations in his head.
Okay.
So he never could explain how he came to a derivation.
Right.
He just said that this just happened. Like
Right.
these things just happened. So
Yeah.
you are saying that this is also a kind of inspiration.
Oh yeah,
According to the mid English, what is
the definition of what like you described is basically called an inspired moment. Like someone having an inspired moment is where like he just saw these equations.
Right.
They just occurred to him or appeared to him.
like the beautiful mind also, right?
Well, that is
That is a little different.
Yeah, that is game theory. That's totally different. But anyways, so Ramanujan, yeah, it's totally inspiration. What that is describing. And so the funny thing for me was when you look into the history of these words, how they came about, the first initial meaning was more along divine guidance. So which means if you don't get too hung up on the divine word and just think of it as external.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It is not you. Something else is guiding you.
Right.
And the process of being mentally stimulated to feel something.
Right.
And the act of breathing in itself.
Right.
So you're breathing in. And now think about what they make you do in pranayam.
Okay.
You have to breathe in a lot.
So you're mixing two completely different things.
I'm just seeing a pattern here, is what I'm saying. So and I think if we have to talk about inspiration, here itself you get a good picture of what is being discussed when someone says inspiration, which is, it is all these things at once, which is, it is also something else guiding you or showing you or influencing you in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And that is also tied into just the mere act of you breathing in and breathing out. So then
A little lost, but I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you get the flavor.
I get the flavor, yeah.
Yeah, and that's all you come to ThyGap for. We don't have all the answers here. Yeah.
We ourselves are searching for the answers, which is a great thing. And in that note, you know what Jiddu Krishnamurti has said?
What?
Right? He always said that merely observing a certain reality without really judging it is in itself is intelligence.
No, he actually said that was the highest form of wisdom.
Highest form of intelligence.
Wisdom.
Okay.
Because wisdom is quite different from intelligence.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that is a different conversation.
Yeah.
In our terminology, I think that's a different episode altogether.
Yeah.
As to what is wisdom to intelligence.
Yeah.
But I get, this is what we do here. Why I bought in
Content.
that is,
It's fucking content.
so why I bought that in is, that's what we are trying to do here, right? We're not trying to judge what is right or wrong.
No, just
we
observe.
Basically, we are observing things and we are trying to see, okay.
It's like, oh, look, there's a bird.
What inspires us?
Yeah, and if you see a bird, you just say it's a bird. That's it. You don't add or remove or
what kind
manipulate
of bird
that
it
information.
Is.
Just say it like it is.
What
is that
is
so
a
fucking
bird
hard?
You have to do? Whether the bird is singing.
Exactly. You saw a bird, you say, I saw a bird.
Yeah. That's it. That's about it.
Hey, Brute, I see a bird.
Yeah, so you're saying that, okay, so basically what you're saying is it is a divine intervention in a way. The mid-English guys basically converted this whole definition of inspiration from...
No, it got converted here.
What is the first definition again? Inspirare. What does inspirare mean?
Divine intervention.
Is it?
Divine guidance.
Oh, well, that itself is the first definition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it got converted now.
But we don't know who made that.
It's from Latin.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could say it has Greek roots. Most likely Greek roots.
Yeah.
For
who
sure.
are pagans, surprisingly. This is the funny part, right? Greeks are pagans primarily.
Uh-huh.
So they don't have the contemporary understanding of divinity or God and etc. They had a different interpretation of what divinity was.
All the pagan types,
right? Yeah. And yet these are the guys who are deriving meanings for different words, saying that, so for them, if we go back and put things into perspective, maybe what Greeks meant or the Latins meant was, it's a divine guidance, right? And pagans are followers of nature, right? So it might be the simplest, what do you say? Meaning, what it might have meant in a simple form is, look around you in your nature, and whatever guides you towards it is essentially your inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, imagine it's a sunny day, you're walking across the woods, you sit under a tree, and all of a sudden you write a poem.
Or an apple falls on your head.
And
then there is this whole syllabus.
How do you not share credit with the ambience, that's what caused it. Like if I was sitting at my home because of a lockdown, obviously no apples are falling, but no one's under them.
Yeah. And which is very ironical because, not ironical, which is very interesting in a way. A lot of great poets and writers and all always went to one place.
Yeah.
They either went to mountains.
Yeah.
They went to a beach.
The mountains are amazing.
Yeah. So so maybe what the Latins meant by divine was not the God divine.
Exactly.
But more like the nature divine around you, right?
That's why I was trying to call out specifically, like, don't get hung up on the divine word.
Yeah, I know.
What they mean by that is multiple things.
Yeah, but it's good to break it down also, right? Just so that we know where we are going in a way.
So basically now where they say stimulation and to do something creative, it started off as basically explaining the source of creativity itself. Now people are talking about it is the urge to do something creative. So that is where the meaning was and what it's come to right now. So this is quite important because when you are having a discussion with someone these days and arguments or whatever, you'll be using these terms
without really
but
emphasizing.
behind the terms, you'll be having different definitions of what the term means in each of your heads.
Right.
So you almost never meet
Huh.
because of that. You always feel like, nah, we're not falling on the same page. So I just wanted to go over a few.
Call it out.
No, I just wanted to go over a few quotes that I pulled out related to inspiration.
Let me just get inspired.
Breathe in, yeah. Just get inspired. Inspire some of that oxygen inside you. Yes.
Booyaka Shah, guys. Take it the cold.
All right.
Okay.
So the first quote is from Sri Aurobindo.
Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, one of the untold heroes of the independence movement, I guess. He is definitely, I studied in a school which basically was built on his thinking.
Oh,
So my whole schooling happened with the whole Aurobindo's philosophies.
yeah.
He's a fantastic guy, but I think Pondicherry is filled with Aurobindo followers.
Auroville
right?
and all that stuff.
Auroville and everything. So I know there are quite a few who...
I got a chance to go to Pondicherry when I was a kid, and
It is a fantastic place.
I just remember it's a very unique experience in itself.
Right,
Like, you don't get that anywhere else.
right.
And yeah, it's something different. So what he had to say was, inspiration is a slender river of brightness, leaping from a vast and eternal knowledge. It exceeds reason more perfectly than reason exceeds the knowledge of the senses. And no, we're not going to explain that. Just play it back and listen to it if, it was not clear. Okay.
I think it was crystal clear,
Yeah.
considering that we read this about 1,000 times before we actually said it out. But can you just repeat it for the sake of me?
Yeah. So he's saying it is a slender river of brightness,
Uh-huh.
leaping from a vast and eternal knowledge. So that's
So
like
if I have to draw a picture, basically... a
vast and
river,
eternal knowledge is like a mountain.
And then,
This river of brightness, inspiration, is leaping from it.
right.
And it exceeds reason more perfectly than reason exceeds the knowledge of the senses.
Okay.
He twisted, noodled nicely 3 different heavy concepts in that.
Yes.
So
And he just simply put it in plain
he
English.
just served it on the plate.
Yeah. This is what great guys do.
Oh yeah.
They give you, but they don't give you.
No.
One of the biggest traits I've observed in all these great leaders, right?
You always leave it unsaid a little bit.
Yeah, so that you figure it out.
Yeah. And that's a way of filtering out from the crowd, because like they say, samajhdar ko ishara kafi hai.
Correct. Yeah.
That's it. The top 20% need to get it. 80% is Pareto law.
Yeah.
You can't
They
do
get
anything.
filtered.
You can't do anything about
They'll
that.
attend the second class, the remedials.
Okay. The next quote is from Federico Fellini. He's an Italian director.
Oh, the movie director. Is a more contemporary guy
No.
when compared to Aurobindo?
No. Greats. Old and great.
Okay.
So-
But he comes from a different, subject matter expert altogether.
Yeah. I mean, he's considered to be one of the best filmmakers of all time.
Any movies?
There is one called 8.5, but we'll save that for our recommendations.
Oh, okay.
So he's an Italian director. He lived from 1920 to 1993. You should check out his films if you have the time. So he says, very interesting, because this guy was pretty frank, straightforward in his way of talking.
He's like the Italian Mahesh Bhatt.
Oh my.
Did I just spoil that image for you?
Oh, he just turned the taste, dude. Okay.
Okay, anyways. Or I can make it worse, by the way.
No, please.
Is he the Italian Ram Gopal Verma?
Fellini ki aag. Okay. So what he said was, I don't believe in total freedom for the artist. Left on his own, free to do anything he likes, the artist ends up doing nothing at all.
That's interesting, yeah?
If there's one thing that's dangerous for an artist, it is precisely this question of total freedom,
Yeah.
waiting for inspiration, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting thing, because I was also kind of thinking on the same lines that, see, generally a moment of inspiration, right, is followed by a certain display of ability or skill, right?
Not always.
it has to be. For instance, I'll like explain it with an example.
Okay, I have an example. I'll go after you.
Okay. Thanks for that opportunity, Bogus. So what I want to say is, okay, basically, see, imagine you are, like, take Sachin's story, right? Now, Sachin got inspired to become like, or, was inspired to become like a mainstream cricketer after he saw the moment of India winning World Cup in 83. Till that moment, in Sachin's own words, he was just playing it for the fun of it. And he was liking the fact that he's playing. But then he started applying himself after he got this moment of, epiphany or whatever you call it. That, hey, you know what, this is amazing. Like, my own country is one, like, this pinnacle of a sport. I want to be that.
Right.
I want to be there. So then he started applying his ability, which he kind of discovered at that moment that he's actually that good. Till that time, there was the ability in the sleep mode. But once this inspiration bit started kind of embraced him, or he embraced that moment, he started showing his real potential. And that seems to be the pattern for every other guy who has that moment of inspiration. And then this beast mode comes out of them where everything is in a superlative mode, right? Like there is this huge thrive of being the best. They somehow understand the whole process instantly. Like, they don't really have to sit and work. Obviously, there is guidance. There's so many other variables, but I'm looking at it
I think
bird's eye view.
There's a lot of time.
I agree. There is a lot of variables.
Work. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, from a bird's eye view, if you look back at Sachin's career, right, it more or less looks he has done it single-handedly, right? The fact is that there are people involved. There are his arch precursor who kind of shaped him and groomed him into what is the right way of batting. And then there was someone else who kind of groomed him. Then there were captains who kind of supported him, right? There are a lot of people. But the process in itself, this guy somehow figured it out. As a person, if you take him as one individual, he just figured out how to be the best in what he's doing, right? So I think because of what he is doing, now nobody speaks about the moment where he actually got inspired. Like, if you go back on the same timeline, today people speak about great captains. Today people speak about all the talent India has in cricket.
Yeah.
But not many people really talk about what inspired this talent or this churn of heavy talent in cricket. If you go back, it was that moment when India won World Cup in 83.
Right.
Before that, India was not even like a competitor, right? For teams like West Indies, Australia, or England and all these. Like, for all I know, Zimbabwe was on the same page as India in 83 World Cup.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but then you see what India has done. So the ability aspect kind of overshadows the important aspect of inspiration, or the moment of inspiration, is what I feel. And
okay, I think that's a fair example. I mean, it's a great example, but it's a valid example. The other side of this is there is a musical piece. Okay, it's called Classical Gas. The musical piece.
Okay.
And this is, in guitar, there's a classic guitar which has one extra string.
The 7-string one, or like the
It's
6-string
called
one?
the classic. So there is acoustic, and then there is electric. But there's a classic which
there's
is
a bass guitar also.
Yeah, there's a bass also, but there's classic which is that one extra string.
Okay.
It sounds a little bit different because they use different kind of strings for that.
Oh, I think it is nylon strings.
Nylon strings or something like that. So this guy, he's a musician. Okay, this guy is a guitarist. Some random guy in the US. I forgot his name. He once one afternoon he went to the gas station to put gas in his car. And while he was filling up the gas, all of a sudden this entire musical piece just popped into his head. That's how he describes it. And because that happened that way, he came back immediately to his home. He played it and he wrote down the notation. And he had his piece, and it's called Classical Gas. You can still find it on YouTube if you search.
Who is the artist?
I forget his name. So his most famous work is this piece.
Let me just go into my memory palace and figure out who's the artist.
Oh my
It's
God.
a classic gas.
Classical
Gas.
Classical Gas.
Mason Williams.
Great. So, and
You can thank me.
we can't obviously play it now.
You can still
but
thank me.
thank you very much.
It's okay, Bogus.
we can't still play it right now, but if you listen to that music, you know that just the way it is structured, it is not a straightforward tune. It is quite hard to play on the classical guitar as well. It's I won't say it's one of the hardest, but it's quite hard.
It's like Stairway to Heaven or something, is it?
No. It's much faster.
That's the most complicated like chords that I know. Not that I play, but I heard people say that.
I mean, not that I play as well. I tried, but yeah.
Oh, we all tried. We all tried playing
tried.
guitar, and then we all tried being a stand-up
All of us were inspired.
for the same goal.
Yeah.
Is to get popular with girls.
Some inspirations, they just yeah.
And I know of one guy who plays amazing guitar and still is not popular with girls.
That's like the saddest story,
I know, and he needs a podcast more than anyone.
Well,
Podcast.
so that was Federico Fellini. Speaking of guitars, there's a quote by guitar god Joe Satriani. And he says, "My inspirations don't come from outer space. They just come to me. I have no idea why they come when they do." I just saved this because no fluff, no fancy language. He's just honest.
Yeah, it's so simple to understand.
Yeah.
But absolutely means nothing to us because we don't freaking understand or perceive what he actually meant by that.
No, that's
Why
exactly
are all
what he
these
meant.
things so cryptic? Why is it so
Because
cryptic?
after
That's what irritates me.
Because beyond a point, we never have the actual answer to anything.
Or beyond a point, you think there's no right or wrong,
You don't know for sure.
which proves Jiddu Krishnamurti right?
I mean, he's right about a lot of things.
We love Jiddu Krishnamurti, and we expect everybody to love Jiddu Krishnamurti. Thank you very much.
There's another quote by Rabindranath Tagore.
Oh,
It's not, and this is where the simplicity of language is, how much is stuffed into just one small sentence. It's not directly about inspiration, but it is related to the process of creativity. And the quote is, "By plucking her petals, you do not gather the beauty of the flower."
I have a similar quote which might put me on the same pedestal as Rabindranath Tagore.
Please.
Killing the duck that gives you golden egg
Oh,
doesn't make you rich.
how did you come up with that, dude?
Dude, sheer brilliance. It was a moment of inspiration.
Man.
I breathed.
And that's the
breathed.
topic of this episode. Okay.
Oh, by the way, guys, just want to put out some message for the sake of the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
As you are listening to this podcast.
That's a horrible word, by the way.
What?
The greater good.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
The good.
Yeah. Just the good.
Just the good is as you're listening to the podcast, you can as well go back to the player and start following us or share the podcast with your friends and family, because if you are lonely, they are lonely too. We can edit this part out, I guess, right?
No. I was just leaving it silent so that it sinks in. That they remember that they have to press those buttons.
Just when you said remember right now,
Yeah.
it reminded me of how Mufasa says, remember.
Remember.
Yeah, you have a good voice for a background voice artist.
I can be a voiceover artist guy, I think.
This podcast should be your resume, by the way. Like if anybody is like, have you done any work before? Absolutely.
Yeah. But the reason that quote I read out
Coming back to the topic.
by Tagore, by plucking her petals, you do not gather the beauty of the flower, is because I just want to call it out like a warning sign for anyone this side of the world, like people here. Be wary of the Western process, because
Like the divide and rule kind of philosophy.
it is dissection.
Yeah. I was just about to use that word, but then it sounded like a medical term, so I didn't want to use it.
It is a medical term,
Yeah. But it fits so well.
but inspiration as well is a medical term, you see. So,
Now I know where respiration has come from.
yeah. Although I still don't clearly exactly know what it means. But
Inspiration,
it's,
respiration,
yeah,
breathing,
potato,
breathing.
potato. So dissection is what the philosophy of the West has always been more weightage on intellect and more weightage on dissection to learn about things and less about wisdom and that different perspective.
Yeah.
which is more the Eastern way of thought. So if you're in the East, do as the Romans do. Like if you're in the East, don't go behind the dissection thing. By plucking up petals, Tagore says, you do not gather the beauty of the flower. Okay.
It is. I am not completely with it. I mean, maybe
Not?
I don't understand that. But this. Okay. So here is the thing, right? Eastern civilization. If you can say, if we bifurcate the West and the East. By the way, by saying that, you yourself are dissecting the West and the East. But say we bifurcate the whole world into the West and the East, and say there are two cultures.
At the end of the day, we should not even make the dissection. I agree with you, because it's all China. At one point of time, the landmass, it all used to be one landmass. It was called Pangaea.
Correct.
And that was China at that point of time.
But so if, whatever.
Yeah.
The world, the nature itself is dissecting. So maybe
they're not being unreasonable, is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But the nature itself is dissecting. So who are we not to?
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah.
So the thing that I'm trying to say is, the West always believed in, breaking things down to understand it easier.
Yeah.
And it's a fair thing.
Fair, yes.
Right? Because if I don't have the aptitude to understand, say, quantum physics, then I have to start with a more simpler physics, which will lead me to quantum physics.
When you say fair, do you also mean that it is fair because it's the starting step?
It's the starting step.
But you don't stop there. There is more.
You should never, again, there's so many things that get involved at the end of the day.
Right.
But I'm just talking about the philosophy or the approach that they have, right? Of breaking things and then figuring out. I think it's a very basic step.
Yeah.
Now, once we come to the Eastern side, now I don't know what exactly is the starting point of the Eastern civilization evolving or setting up, but it seems that from time bygone, everybody, starting from the Aryabhata to the Chinese kings, Miao Mongs, and all of them, right? All of them, right, looked at things from the broader perspective, like from the bird's eye view, and they somehow figured out that this is what must be inside it, or this is what is inside it.
Yeah, basically they went in.
They went in themselves.
Yeah.
And that is a better way of saying it. Eastern civilizations or Eastern cultures, they basically dwelled more internally than going externally.
Yeah.
Which is why, and somehow even they found out atom long back, and even the Westerners found out atom, recently. Later, right? So there is no right or wrong way. That is what I get out of it. It's
a balance.
It's a balance.
It should be a balance between the two.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I don't completely agree that by plucking the petals, you won't see the beauty of the flower. Correct. But by plucking the petals, how the flower came in the first place.
Right. So you're then not gathering the beauty, but you're trying to understand something else.
You are going behind the why.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's a totally different
agenda altogether.
Yeah.
Right. But if you take it in terms of inspiration, right? This is a question I have. Do you think all forms of creativity are a byproduct of inspiration? Any form of creativity?
Yeah.
I have the same opinion. So there's no argument. So we can move on.
Yeah. Your Honor, he wins. Yeah. So ultimately, what is the result of all of this is exactly if you are like us, if you are or were like us, where you also thought about this topic or this subject, and it's just a chance to go a little bit deeper, see where it came from, what was the original intent, and what it has changed to, so that when you encounter this word going forward anywhere in front of you, you also know what intent is being used and what the message basically is. If you ask me what I meant by all of that, even I don't have any idea.
Yeah, it was so slow that I lost you in the middle. Forget about what people are doing. But I just went and brushed my teeth, came back. I saw you still talking. Then I had some tea, came back.
It's perfect.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a very interesting question. And it's related to inspiration. Okay. What happens if you go behind inspiration? What do you think? Because from what you have, described inspiration as till now,
Right.
is inspiration just comes to you, right? There is no set way how it comes. It just comes to you.
Well, I think there's two ways it comes. One is it just drops like bird shit
Right?
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The other is you have to earn it, where you have to do some work for it, and then it comes to you.
Fair
Otherwise,
enough.
it doesn't.
Okay, let's put it, then this is what I'm going to ask.
Right.
In the first scenario, we can't really do anything about it, right?
Can't.
It just
It's
happens.
luck.
If you're lucky, the bird shits on you. If you're not, doesn't.
Right time, right place, right branch,
Correct. Right? Right tree.
right tree. Yeah.
In the second case, how do you earn inspiration? This is what is it's like $1 million question, right?
My theory, and just a theory, everybody relax. My theory is that you have to make some actions towards that. Like if you figure out what your motivation is, what are you motivated by, or what are you motivated to do, and you want inspiration, you have to show action, which is you have to start doing some work in that regard. And the more you do it, depending on what your luck levels, it happens sooner, or maybe it can happen later. But what I'm saying is the two ways that I noticed inspiration behaving is one, it just drops like bird shit. The other, you have to earn it.
So in simple terms, what you're saying is, if you have a North Star,
Right.
and you start applying yourself towards the North Star,
Right.
somewhere down the road, you get inspired.
Yeah. And there's no
nonsense.
saying.
I do not agree with that nonsense. I don't think that is how it happens.
Okay.
Because apparently so there is this paper which was written in Harvard by a bunch of psychologists.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it goes in tune with a lot of other, leaders speak about, right? And what they say is that if you go behind inspiration, or if you are expecting inspiration of any form, in any way,
Yeah.
that will lead you to delusion. Okay?
I mean,
That is what is the thing, because it's an interesting thing here. Now you are going in a path, and imagine you hit this road, you hit this dead end while going to a North Star. That happens, right?
Yeah.
Where you feel like, hey, I'm working so hard, nothing is happening, blah, blah, blah. I wish I get like a lucky break, right?
Right.
And then there is humans being what we are. We tend to start visualizing that lucky break, right? Now, when you do it enough, we also have the ability of creating an illusion. Okay? What supports this is, I'll tell you, inspired people have shown the characteristics of humility and openness. Okay? All the people who have been inspired, like in the natural process or however it is, they have shown heavy traits of being humble, being open, being collaborative, etc., etc., etc.
I think this connects to...
Never stop me when I'm talking.
I didn't stop you.
Don't you showed your finger to my nose. I don't like it because it's not professional.
Or it was to your nose, was it? If it was really to your nose, then you have a big fucking nose.
I have a big fucking nose, and I have a lot of.
Then that's really your problem.
Anyways, I'll let you go this time.
So what I was saying was, what you were saying just reminded me that what you were saying
I
actually
inspired you.
it connects. It connects to what we were talking about in the motivation episode, which is it should be negligible. It is a stage where you should not dwell too long. You're supposed to move on quickly from there into
Yeah, that I agree.
into
right.
work. And now you're saying for inspiration, if you
Sought after it.
if you seek after just inspiration for inspiration's sake, and you're just going after that, like I want to get inspired, you could get delusional because
You're creating scenarios in your own head.
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to go off from that stage soon, but you're not. You're dwelling in it.
Right.
And now you're getting delusional.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I feel that what you said, that when you keep moving on, or when you apply yourself in a certain pattern and say that at some point it's bound to happen, I don't think that's how it works. I think the goal should not be to get inspired. You know what I say?
Yeah.
What is the goal then?
The goal is, it's a 4-post thing with a net, and it's on either sides of the football field.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to ultimately kick the ball.
Yeah, baby. Now you're talking.
Into the goal.
Absolutely.
And the more goals a team scores, that particular team wins.
Oh, behave. Yeah, baby.
And this is really the main takeaway of this episode on inspiration.
Yeah, I think it's we wrapped it up. This is a long topic. I mean, it's a very big topic, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it's definitely,
I'm sure,
it changes from subjective perspective of each individual.
Yeah, I'm sure through this experience, the people can relate how complicated it is to explain what a football goal is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers. I mean, it goes deep.
And also to spell the name of that Italian director you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's very complicated. This is the easiest way to remember him is
Fellini.
Yeah, it's the Italian Ram Gopal Varma.
Oh,
That's the easiest way to remember, guys. So awesome. We are now coming to the last segment of the podcast at episode 4 at ThyGap. So this is the parcel section, as we call it, because we are going to give you some parcels so you can take it home and fucking eat it.
We really need to find a better name for this.
No, I love parcel section.
Oh my God.
It appeals to the masses.
I don't think it does, actually.
It does, Bogus. I am the masses.
I'm the masses too.
Let me just explain what happens in the parcel section, guys.
Yes.
Quickly, just so that you have an understanding. You get a parcel.
Go.
Bogus, go.
No, I think I want to go after you. You start.
Okay, fair enough. So my recommendation for this episode is a fantastic movie. Again, one of my favorite actors, Peter Sellers. I think one of the most versatile actors.
One of the best.
The movie industry has ever seen across the globe. In fact,
Also stage.
Also stage, but I don't know if we have anything where we can see his stage performances.
So there is a old YouTube clip where he does Shakespeare lines from Richard the First or something, and I don't remember if he was seriously doing it or if he was actually making it funny. But either ways, it is a worth watch.
Yeah, and also for all the upcoming actors or guys who are interested in acting, irrespective of where you are, I think you definitely have to check out Peter Sellers. He will definitely give you an idea about what all it takes to act. And this is a guy who has done so many roles. Just like in the movie that I'm suggesting, the name of the movie...
And don't shy away from any of the shady stuff, okay? When you're researching someone, you have to take it all in.
Yeah,
There is shady stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, the name of the movie of my suggestion for this episode is The Mouse That Roared.
The Mouse That Roared.
The Mouse That Roared. It's a very funny movie. It's basically about this godforsaken country. It's a very peanut-sized country, and they're going into financial troubles. So the prince, the queen, and the ministers, and the whole, what do you call that? The courtsmen, like who are the people who are the council of the kingdom?
Yes.
Decide that they should wage a war on America and lose the war so that the American aid can help them survive the financial crisis. But they can't tell it to their army that it's a fake war. So they have to inspire them to go and fight the war with America, right? And their army size is hardly like 20 people or 10 people, okay? So the whole story is about how the army general is so motivated and he wants to go and fight a war with America. And in America, there's a completely different story that's happening, right? So long story short, what happens is America feels that this small country has the most dangerous weapon that is there in the world. Okay. So now America is trying to become friends with this country, but the army has already left to attack America, right? So what happens in the end is, it's for you guys to check it out, but it's a very interesting movie, super funny, and you need to be a little patient to understand the humor of the movie. But it's directed by Jack Arnold.
I think they're going to get dreams about the word America.
America, guys.
The number of times you said it.
America is the inspiration. But anyways, that's my recommendation of Peter Sellers, the lead actor. He does multiple roles. He's the army general. He is also the council minister of the kingdom.
Oh, so like Doctor Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove. Yeah, it is on the lines of Dr. Strangelove, but very different. It's a color movie. Don't bang your head, Bogus. Take it easy.
It's a tough spot. So on to my recommendation now. I have one of the all-time classics, a Japanese classic made in 1950 by Akira Kurosawa. Akira Kurosawa, if you've not heard this name, he is counted as one of the best filmmakers of all time, like Fellini. They were contemporaries. So the name of the movie is called Rashomon. Rashomon means Citadel Gate or City Gate. So there was a time in Japan when Kyoto and not Tokyo was the capital. And basically this movie is centered around the gate of the capital city. So it opens on a very bleak setting. It's black and white. Rain is just pouring down. There's downpour of rain. The city looks desolate.
Like Godzilla.
Yeah, the city looks desolate and it's deserted. And it looks very dystopian, okay? And under the gate, taking shelter from the rain, are a priest and a woodcutter. Both these guys are in a daze of sorts. They just look like they witnessed something horrific. A commoner also comes to take shelter from the rain and is working to build a bonfire for them to warm up. And while he's doing that, these guys start narrating a story. So the main story of the movie involves around a bandit, a samurai, and his wife. In the forest, okay? Yeah. So the main allegation of the case, so this case is being tried in the royal court, and the woodcutter and the priest had actually witnessed the court proceedings, and they came out shocked. The main allegation of the case was that the bandit raped the samurai's wife and then killed him and left his body in the forest, and then the woodcutter saw it. So you have three different narrations from the bandit, from the wife, and from the ghost of the samurai. They call a medium who invokes the ghost of the samurai, okay? All these three give different versions. The bandit says he was able to tie up the husband and get his way with the wife, and they both had a fair fight, a duel, where the bandit killed the samurai. The wife says she was ashamed that she gave in to the bandit, and her husband was disgusted with her. She ultimately ended up killing him with a dagger. And the samurai says he was so ashamed.
The woodcutter or the samurai?
The samurai.
The samurai is still alive?
No, the ghost.
Oh, okay.
The samurai's ghost came to testify. So the samurai says he was so ashamed by his wife's behavior that he killed himself. He took his own life. So you have three people giving you three different versions of the story. And then the woodpecker has his own version of the story. So you can see how... Woodcutter. Sorry. So you can see how the whole narrative is, it just keeps twisting and turning. You never know what actually happened. And to think that this kind of a story came out in 1950, it's just amazing. You have to watch this movie. And also, Kazuo Miyagawa was the director of photography. He deserves special mention because of the beautiful cinematography in this movie. Every frame looks like a painting. Of course, Kurosawa also has a hand in that because before he was a director, he was a art director of sorts. He used to make storyboards.
Oh.
So, which is something he has similar with Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott was a storyboard artist.
Mm-hmm.
So you see why visually their movies are so striking. So, So Rashomon, basically, guys, check it out for the story, for the direction, for the photography, and for the actors. Toshiro Mifune, one of the best actors of all time, globally. He was like Japan's Amitabh Bachchan of sorts, but very big guy and amazing actor. And there's also Takashi Shimura, who plays character roles in Kurosawa movies, but he's a staple in the Kurosawa stable. So, yeah, a wonderful movie.
Yeah, guys, I just want to add on that just take the name of the movie and skip the whole bloody description that Bogus just gave, because the movie is really good.
Yeah, I'm sorry it dragged on for a while, but you can see how the story
Stories don't
goes.
bring back dead, Bogus. They're already lonely.
I mean, nothing brings back the dead, except for zombie movies.
Yeah. Which predominantly have come up in America.
You're going to give people nightmares, dude. I see it. No one would have said America that much. Even
Including
during
the
the gold
president.
rush. Yeah. Including the president, yeah.
It's beautiful, guys. It's beautiful, beautiful.
But
Oh, we're still not done with it?
no, I'm done. I'm
Okay.
done. I just wanted to say
But
stimulating topic to think of, because it's a stimulating kind of podcast, you know.
yeah, and it definitely has stimulated me for sure.
Stimulusized.
Stimulated.
All of these things. You come for all of these things. This is a package deal, okay? You can't be like, oh, I like this, but I like that. No. It's all together.
In another world, you're already late to your office and you probably have missed some of your house chores.
I agree, Jack, and I think that's the reason why it's the right time to wind up this episode.
Absolutely, Mark. So here's my goodbye and my 2 cents to you.
Meep.
Goodbye, Jack, and my 2 cents to you are.
Meep. Meep.
Hey, thanks for listening. You can follow this podcast on Spotify to get notified of new episodes every Thursday. We're also on Apple Podcasts for those of you who have partaken in the forbidden fruit. If you liked what you heard, leave us a 5-star rating and a comment. Say anything like the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. A rating and a comment really helps us out. It's free, and I'm told that's a great price. But enough about us, huh? Tell us about yourself. Leave us a comment. Our Twitter is @ThyGap, and we are _ThyGap on Instagram.